right, this is Late Night. We hope you're doing well. And now, if you don't mind, we're going to get to the news. When asked today by the New York Post whether the U.S. and Iran could hold a second round of peace talks as soon as Friday, President Trump said in a text message, quote, "It's possible, President DJT." And it is very funny to give the most non-committal answer and also sign it President DJT. He might as well have said, "I'm the leader of the free world, and I have no idea." How crazy is that? Hours after he said the U.S. military was raring to resume its bombing campaign, President Trump announced yesterday that he would extend the ceasefire with Iran. This guy gives out more mixed messages than a Los Angeles parking sign. President Trump said in a post yesterday on Truth Social that Iran is, quote, collapsing financially. Oh, they are? I had to split an Uber to work today with Fallon and Kelly Clarkson. And I'm the only one they won't let sing in the car. During an interview yesterday with CNBC, President Trump said that he is very careful walking up and down stairs because he knows that if he falls, it will be the biggest news story. Maybe, maybe not. Really depends on which stair. Donald Trump Jr.'s fiancée, Bettina Anderson, held a bridal shower last weekend at Mar-a-Lago, and the theme was Enchanted Garden, while the theme of Don Jr.'s bachelor party was Getting Our Story Straight. In a new interview, former RNC co-chair Lara Trump said that the last text message she received from President Trump was a video of a bombing that the White House put out, while the last text message Tiffany received was Enjoy Kindergarten. The New York Times has published a theory that the New York Mets are on a losing streak following a photo op between the team's mascots and Mayor Zohran Mamdani. Well, it wouldn't be the first time a photo with Mamdani has set off a losing streak. The Athletic recently published a list of the best things to eat this season at MLB stadiums, which include a chow mein burrito at Dodger Stadium, chicken and churros at Wrigley, and at Citi Field, a gun. That was 100% the accurate reaction to that joke. Ukrainian officials reportedly considering renaming the contested Donbas region that Russia is fighting for Donnyland after President Trump in order to get his attention. And for similar reasons, I'm thinking of changing the name of our show to Lorne Night with Seth Meyers. Maybe he'll watch that. The restaurant chain Red Lobster announced this week that it will offer its Endless Shrimp promotion, even though Endless Shrimp sounds less like a promotion and more like a curse by a witch. And finally, a Chinese car company recently filed a patent for an in-vehicle toilet. So what? In America, we have ones where the whole thing is the toilet. And that was a monologue, everybody. We got a great show for you tonight. You know him from films such as Sing Sing and The Color Purple, as well as Euphoria, whose highly anticipated third season is airing now on HBO and HBO Max. He's also starring as Joe Jackson in the upcoming biopic Michael, which is in theaters and IMAX this Friday. Coleman Domingo is back on the show. Our friend Coleman is back. You have seen him on shows like The Righteous Gemstones and Roosters. He's currently starring in Running Point, whose second season drops April 23rd on Netflix. He's been my friend for almost 25 years. Scott MacArthur is back. Before we get to all that, Donald Trump's approval rating has hit a new all-time low as more members of his administration scramble for the exits. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. I'm not a numbers guy. Here's a good proof of that. I recently helped my son with his math homework, and it went so badly they held me back a year. Fourth grade hasn't been terrible. Last week, I grew my own beans. So with my mathematical limitations in mind, help me out here. Are these numbers good or bad?
Only 33% of Americans approve of the job Trump is doing, while a full 67% disapprove, which means he's underwater by 34 points.
He's at an all-time low, and he's down 5 points from the last month. Trump is having a worse April than the New York Mets. Obviously, what's going on with the Mets begs the question, was their season officially jinxed when Mr. and Mrs. Met visited our set on opening day? Look, it's not like this show has winner's mojo. We've been nominated for and lost 11 Emmys. 11. To give you an idea how many that is, 11 is one less than the Mets' 12-game losing streak. As of taping, true story, our security guards, John and Jim, seen here, forgetting that history repeats itself, think this is happening because the Mets gave Cue Card Wally a custom Mets jersey with his name on it, despite the fact that Wally is a Yankees fan. And to break the curse, they believe they have to burn the jersey, and the craziest part is they only think it'll work if they burn it while Wally is wearing it. The point is, the wheels have completely fallen off the MAGA wagon. Trump poll numbers are in free fall. Republicans are losing the gerrymandering war they started with Democrats. MAGA pundits are publicly turning on the president, and now another cabinet secretary is out.
U.S. Labor Secretary Lori Chavez-DeRemer stepping down. The White House says she is taking a job in the private sector. She was also, it's important to note, facing an internal investigation into possible misconduct and allegations of inappropriate behavior. This makes her now the third cabinet member to leave the Trump administration in recent weeks.
Wow, it's bad when the labor secretary can't even keep her job. Jobs was her jobs. So now that there's 3 cabinet officials out in less than 2 months, the administration has the same turnover as a college town Chick-fil-A at the end of a semester. Soon it's just gonna be Trump wandering around by himself trying to keep squirrels out of his ballroom. He and J.D. Vance are gonna go full Grey Gardens. But even more shocking than the labor secretary's abrupt resignation is the investigation that preceded it, which involved alleged misconduct by the secretary and her family.
Her departure comes amid multiple allegations of misconduct and abuse of power by not just her, but her husband and apparently her father as well.
Ms. Chavez-DeRemer's husband and father exchanged text messages with young female staff members at the Labor Department. In an April 2025 exchange provided to investigators, Ms. Chavez-DeRemer's father wrote to a young female Labor Department staff member, quote, "Hearing you are in town, wishing you would let me know. I could have made some excuses to get out and show you around. Please keep this private."
You know, part of me thinks, oh, maybe that sweet old man just wants to give a young lady a tour. And then I remember he signed off, "Please keep this private." No dad is ever supposed to say, "Please keep this private" about anything. You're supposed to say to your dad, "Please keep that private." You know, when he gives what seems like a college-length dissertation on how attractive he finds the actress who plays Beth Dutton on Yellowstone. And then you're like, "Stop telling me." And he's like, "Oh, so you don't think she's attractive?" And I'm like, "I'm just saying you don't have to tell everyone at the bar mitzvah. Keep that private." And that's just a hypothetical, not a real thing that recently happened. I just made that up from my imagination, not from a real memory. So 3 Trump cabinet officials are already out, and a 4th might be on his way.
FBI Director Kash Patel on defense this morning, denying allegations laid out in a new report detailing his alleged drinking habits and absences from the Bureau. This article in The Atlantic cites more than 24 people, including unnamed current and former FBI officials, who allege excessive drinking and erratic behavior, described as, quote, freakouts from Patel. Several officials cited say Patel is known for, quote, obvious intoxication at private clubs, both here in Washington and in Las Vegas, and that many staffers are just waiting for the announcement that Patel is going to be fired from his post, citing his unreachability and impulsivity.
Generally speaking, you don't want to hear that the country's top law enforcement official is known for having freakouts, you know? When you're the head of the FBI, you're supposed to be calm and level-headed. No one wants to tune into a press conference about a potential threat to the homeland and hear a guy who looks like this scream, "Everyone run for your lives." And he always looks like that. He has resting run for your lives face. But the allegations about Patel, the allegations get even worse than that.
The article also claimed a request for breaching equipment normally used by SWAT and hostage rescue teams to quickly gain entry into buildings was made last year because Patel had been unreachable behind locked doors.
All right, in fairness, we've all been there. You know, you come home from a hard day at work, drinking margaritas with Dua Lipa, and you pass out on the floor in the kids' playroom, and your wife tries to open the door, but you locked it because you didn't want anyone to see you puking in your daughter's Easy Bake Oven. So Your wife has to call the super to break the door down, and he's a big Russian guy with a thick accent. And when he enters the room, you wake up and you're so scared that you get what's known as cash eyes. But somehow, that's not the most embarrassing episode from the story.
On Friday, April 10th, as FBI Director Kash Patel was preparing to leave work for the weekend, he struggled to log onto an internal computer system. He quickly became convinced he'd been locked out, and he panicked, frantically calling aides and allies to announce that he'd been fired by the White House. That's according to 9 people familiar with his outreach. 2 of these people described his behavior as a, quote, freak out.
The access problem turned out to, quote, have been a technical error, and it was quickly resolved.
So he freaked out and told everyone he was fired, but it turned out it was just a technical glitch. In fact, one FBI official said of Patel's freakout, quote, it was all ultimately bull. And I, for one, think that would make a great title for the first history textbook about the Trump era. But Patel has pushed back. Patel has pushed back on the claims by suing The Atlantic and denying the story at a press conference.
Explain the computer login issue. Just explain the computer login issue. You were not able to log into your lawsuit contends that you were not able to log into the system. What did you think after you were unable to log into the system?
Let's have a survey. How many of you people believe that's true?
I do. I mean, I don't know for sure if it's true, but I definitely believe it's possible. I mean, we saw you crushing beers in the locker room after the men's Olympic hockey team won gold. That definitely looks like a guy who might not remember his password the next day. I can definitely imagine you sitting down at your computer drunkenly crying because you can't log in. Why won't the beach ball stop spinning? But maybe the saddest moment of Patel's press conference was when he explained his drinking in the locker room by describing the U.S. men's hockey team as his friends.
I'm like an everyday American who loves his country, loves the sport of hockey, and champions my friends when they raise a gold medal and invite me in to celebrate.
Oh, sweetie, no. No, sweetie. Friends? No, sweetie. I'm going to say to you what I said to John and Jim about Mr. and Mrs. Matt. They're not your friends. When Trump won the election, MAGA acted as though they were invincible, but the last month has proven otherwise. Trump is at all-time lows and keeps losing election after election while his top aides quit or get fired. Next time a poll comes out showing how much voters dislike him, Trump's going to tell Fox News,
Please keep this private.
This has been A Closer Look.